Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report, the very last one of 2022. And we're going to cover the new transit that starts today, and then there's another transit that starts on New Year's Eve. So we're going to talk about both of those today. Let's go ahead and get started. So in the transit that starts today, we're shifting from the G center, which is where we were in the last transit, into the root center. And not just the root center, but also the logic circuit. So we've got the sun is lighting up the gate 58, which is joy in traditional human design, or joy of mastery in quantum human design. And the earth is lighting up the gate 52, which is focus in traditional human design or perspective. So this creates a very interesting juxtaposition between those two. Then we have some interesting thing happening in the knowing circuit too. So I'll come back to that in a minute. So first of all, the sun, joy. This is kind of, even though it's not technically related to generators or manifesting generators, it really resonates for me as a generator, and I would imagine for others, because we're really designed for mastery. You know, generators and manifesting generators we're designed to really be honing a craft, to be developing expertise and mastery in an area that we are drawn to and that feels like the right work for us. And it's when we're doing that we have this kind of really kind of inexhaustible energy. And so this is in the logic circuit, and or the pattern circuit, and it is coming off of the gate 18, which is the gate of correction, or realignment. And so there's this sense of, you know, we've kind of been through the 48, which is learning and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning, right? And then we have realigned things and gotten things in order, corrected anything that need to be corrected. And then we get to experience this joy of this mastery that we are creating here in the gate 58. So it's great because the sun is lighting it up, right? And the sun is like, joy. So here we go. Joy to the world, right? So this isn't the human design version of that. I would encourage you to just consider for yourself, what is it maybe from this year where you've really put your attention and your energy, and what kind of mastery have you been developing for yourself? And that can be in any area of life, right? It could be in working in relationships. It could be working with your own inner landscape and knowing how to work with your triggers and the things that places where you've been reactive before, and you've kind of gotten on top of that and learned how to really channel that energy and work with it in a positive way. Or maybe it has to do with shooting video, like me, shooting video, editing video, doing that kind of work. Maybe it has to do with writing. Maybe it's projects that you've been doing inside of, you know, the work that you do in the world. I mean, there's so many different places where this could be. It could even be mastery in, Peloton, if you like to ride the bike, right? Or, just many different areas of life. So I would encourage you, as you're reflecting here at the end of the year, where have you put your attention? Where have you built some mastery for yourself? Where can you experience some joy, some delight, some appreciation and recognition for yourself of what you've done so far? And the sun is sitting on the earth in the gate 52, which is the gate of focus or perspective, which is really interesting, right? Because in order to develop mastery, we have to have some kind of focus, right? We have to focus on something for a while. If we're jumping around and doing all kinds of different things, it's one of the things that's hard for third lines, right? Because they like to be involved in so many different things. They just love to experiment and try things out and see how that's going to go, right? So focus can help our third line friends be able to develop some mastery, because you can go deeper when you have some more focus. And so we want to be grounding ourselves in this sense of perspective. Like, what is our point of view? How are we seeing things? How are we looking at the world? What's the lens, right? You know, what color are the glasses that you're looking through right now? All of that, right? What is your perspective, and what are you focused on? And are you focused on something that's really empowering for you, exciting for you, inspiring for you? Is it bringing you energy? Is it helping you feel more alive and more vital? Or are you focusing on something that's kind of dragging you down, making you feel like you can't really do anything in the world, like life is too big for you, or you're at the mercy of something, right? So this is a good opportunity to be looking at, what am I focusing on? What is my perspective? And is it supporting me? Because our focus, our perspective, and the story that is connected to that is what determines to a large degree what our reality is. Right? Because it's like seeing through whatever that perspective is. And if you're not feeling that joy of mastery, it's a good time to switch that up, right? And to change your perspective so that you can find the things that you can celebrate in yourself, you can acknowledge in yourself, so that you can have a much more kind of buoyant and uplifting perspective that you're looking through into the rest of your life. One of the potential challenges with the 52 is when you do get a big perspective, right? When you get a big perspective, you can get really overwhelmed by what's going on in the world today, right? I mean, I know that I'm working with my kid who is in their early 20s around feeling like so many things are happening and I can't do anything, right? They've been feeling kind of disempowered around that. And I think a lot of people feel disempowered around that. I totally understand. And when we can actually build our capacity to see the big perspective without getting really overwhelmed by it, just like, okay, there it is. But then choose where we want to focus. Like, what's the place where you want to put your attention and your energy? Where do you want to choose to make your impact? Where do you want to choose to make your contribution, right? Where are you going to be developing your mastery, right? Because you don't have to try to take in and do something about everything that's going on in the world. I mean, you can't, right? I mean, number one, it's not possible. Number two, it would make you crazy if you tried. So don't do that, right? It's like picking the place where you're going to make your contribution, where you're going to develop your mastery, and that's going to be the thing that you're doing to help uplift our world, help us make it way through this birth canal that we're in right now, right? And we can all find a place to do that. So that's what I encourage you to do, is really tune in for yourself, during this transit, and as you're looking forward into the new year, is where are you going to put your focus, right? What's going to be your perspective? And can you build the ability to actually see a bigger picture? Like be able to go, climate change, yeah. Systemic racism and misogyny. Okay. Like be able to actually see it and not get completely, downtrodden by it. But then also go, okay, so what am I going to do? Where is my action? Where am I going to activate my agency, right? Which is what we do as sovereign beings, is we have agency to be able to participate in the world. And that's all you really need to do. You don't have to try to solve everything. Interestingly enough, we also have the 6124 being lit up right here. Now, the 24 has been being lit up by the North Node for a while now, but now we've got the 61 being lit up by Mercury and Venus. So we've got this extra attention in this beginning of this knowing circuit, which is very different than the logic circuit, right? The knowing circuit is individual circuitry. It is here to be different. It's here to bring change. And so right alongside this question of what are we going to focus on? What are we going to contribute to, right? Is, I'm open to some really breakthrough ideas, some really leading edge things that maybe I never thought about before. If I can just open myself up to receive new possibilities, right? And Mercury is here, what we're here to talk about and to teach about. And Venus is like our values. And so this is really a place where we get to kind of pause and receive and wonder, right? Wonder, what is it that is coming through? And so this can create a little bit of what my mentor, Karen Curry Parker, would call a conundrum, because there's a creative tension between the logic circuit and the knowing circuit. right? Because one's collective, one's individual, one's logical, one's not logical, very highly intuitive, right? So they're very different, but we need all of it, right? We actually need all of it. So the really kind of the invitation, if you will, for you during this transit is, how are you going to get these different types of energies to dance with each other so that you can receive whatever is coming in through that knowing circuit? And you can see how it can help you build even more mastery, and it can help you to maybe reframe your perspective so that you can focus in a way that's really going to empower you moving into this new year. Then on Saturday, December 31st, Happy New Year, we still have the 6124 lit up. Okay, so that ability to be receiving those really kind of leading edge breakthrough ideas is going to continue through this transit as well. But then the sun has moved into the gate 38 and the earth has moved into the gate 39. Well, these are pretty intense energies, okay? And sometimes people think of them as kind of gnarly energy, and they're in my incarnation cross, so I know them pretty well. And I would say it all depends on how you inhabit them and learning how to really use these energies and to use them to your benefit. They make such a great pairing too, and they show up together in incarnation crosses all the time. And let's just unpack this a little bit. So the earth in the gate 39, the 39 in traditional human design is known as the gate of provocation, and in quantum human design is recalibration. Now let's just dig into this a little bit. So provocation. Being provocative can be super annoying if you don't know what you're doing. And I just think about like times earlier in my life before I knew what was going on with human design. And sometimes I could just be very provocative, and I didn't even really mean to be. Sometimes I meant to be, but sometimes I didn't mean to be because I wasn't on top of that energy, right? The energy was more kind of managing me, and I was not in command of that energy. But when you get in command of it, it can be super, super helpful in the sense of sometimes we need to be provoked or to be provocative in order to interrupt patterns, right? And my life is all about pattern interrupt. That's what I do, pattern interrupt. So in that sense, it can be super helpful, but you want to be careful. Like you don't want to be provoking people when they're not interested, they're not ready, they don't trust you, like all that kind of stuff, right? Because then it's just annoying. It's irritating. Nobody's going to receive the benefit of what it is that you want to share if you're doing it at the wrong time with the wrong person in the wrong place, the wrong situation, right? So you want to really be able to have command over this energy. Now, Karen Curry Parker has renamed it recalibration in quantum human design because the mate of the 39 is the 55, which is all about abundance. And the abundance here is not the abundance of accumulation, okay? It's not about hoarding, and it's not even necessarily about saving a lot. It's more about knowing that you're going to have what you need when you need it. Right? That the abundance of the universe is there for you. You're going to have access to it, and that what you need is going to come to you when you need it. Right? Now, you do have to do your part. You do have to be engaged in life. You can't just kind of be like, oh, I'm just going to lie on my sofa and everything I need is going to come to me. But it also means that you don't have to totally stress yourself out and make everything happen and, try to be a manifester when you're not a manifester. And that kind of thing, right? You can just have this deep sense of trust. You're going to have what you need when you need it. Now, the 38 and the 39 are both in the knowing circuit. So we've got this knowing circuit going on up here, which I talked about a few minutes ago. And then we've got this knowing circuit going on through the root. So this means that energy of that 55 and that 39 are in a highly intuitive part of our chart. It's not logical. It's not strategic. This is not about planning, your retirement funds, or it's not that kind of energy. It's much more about, I can rely on spirit. I know that I'm plugged into super consciousness. I know that I am a co-creator with the flow of life, and that I can be engaged in that way. And as I do that, what I need will come to me. Now, here's the thing about the 39 in provocation. This is, Karen's interpretation, is that it's particularly effective. The energy of the 39 is particularly effective for pattern interrupts around scarcity. Which makes sense, right? Because really the shadow or the disempowered aspect of the 55 is going to be scarcity. It's going to be fear about not having enough, right? And a lot of us have fear about not having enough, whether it's all kinds of not enoughness, right? It could be money, but it could be lots of other things as well. It could be love, could be education, could be, not enough of, food or, whatever it is, right? There could be a lot of not enoughness, which is what can happen in the 55. So the 39 in its really empowered expression, when it's really paying attention to what's going on and it's not just blurting out things at the wrong time, can help to interrupt people's patterns of scarcity, which are really deeply embedded into Western culture. Western culture is kind of based on scarcity, the not enoughness, and then the accumulation, right? And then the taking and taking from the earth is based on a sense of scarcity, where at other times, and many indigenous people around the world, many still do this to the best that they can, even though they've been impacted by Western culture, live in more of a state of grace, really. It's a state of grace. It's a state of, the earth provides. We are in dynamic relationship with the earth. We are of the earth. We are related, and we have what we need when we need it. And we don't need to accumulate because we're going to have enough, next season, right? Whatever that is. You might want to just look at this for yourself and consider, what is my relationship to scarcity? What is my relationship to the sense of enoughness? This kind of spiritual grace that comes when you're like, oh yeah, I can really just relax and know that what I need is going to come to me when I need it. And if you're not feeling that, you can use the energy of the 39 to be provocative to yourself. Just provoking the part of you and being like, is that really true? That there's not enough? Is it really true that I don't have enough? Is it truly, really true that I am not enough? Right? Is that really true? Can I provoke that in myself? Hoping to open up some new possibilities. So that's a great exercise to be doing during this transit. And one to really think about, going right here into the new year, right? Do you want to go in with this deep sense of spiritual grace and that you have what you need? Or do you want to go in with a sense of scarcity? So then the sun is lighting up the gate 38. Now in traditional human design, the gate 38 is known as the fighter, and colloquially as the Martin Luther King gate. I know that sometimes people have thought that this was pretty gnarly energy, and it can be when you're expressing either the shadow aspect of it, which is when you're using that energy to try to control other people or situations, right? That kind of fighter, that can be pretty gnarly. Or if you're in the disempowered, right, and you feel that other people are doing that to you, right? They're using the energy of the fighter to control or manipulate you. Or if you have been so kind of uncomfortable with that kind of energy of the fighter, the shadow fighter, that you have decided that you don't want to fight for anything. You know what? I'm just not going to fight. I'm just going to withdraw. I'm just going to, just let things be the way they are. And I'm going to pretend like everything's okay with me, even though it's not. So that's a disempowered state. But the empowered expression of that 38 is the visionary leader, which is quantum human design, name for the 38. And the way I like to describe this to people is it's the energy for what are you going to put a stake in the ground about? This is what I stand for. This is what matters, right? This is what I'm willing to fight for. And I'm not talking about going to war, right? I mean, Martin Luther King, if we just talk about him, right, was a nonviolent leader, right? That was his thing. But there were ways to be able to engage and fight for what you believe in, but not violently, right? And I think this is a really important energy for us to learn how to get a handle on and to, collectively shift this energy so that it's in this more empowered state. So it's not the fighter and it's not the, right? It's the, this is what really matters. This is what I want to put a stake in the ground around. And it's very spirit filled because remember, it's in the knowing circuit. So it's receiving downloads about what that is. And it's filled with the spiritual energy, right? Because the knowing circuit on the leading edge of consciousness, right? This is where the evolutionary impulse for humanity is. And so the sun is lighting up this 38. And it's really giving you the opportunity to consider for yourself, what do you stand for? What really matters to you, right? What are you willing to speak up about? What are you willing to be an advocate for? What, that phrase of Gandhi's, who everybody likes to quote now, like, what do you want to be the change for, right? How are you going to do it in your own life? And then how is it going to express out into the world around you? And you're going to do that with the energy of provocation, which can have to do with scarcity and abundance, but it can also be provocation to disrupt patterns of things that we've been willing to settle for, right? And you can be like, I'm not going to be willing to settle for that anymore. I'm going to ground myself in this ability to break patterns and to liberate myself from conditioning that has held me back. And I'm going to use that to then be able to put a stake in the ground around what really matters to me. All right, so we've got some really juicy energies that are coming our way, starting today for about 10 days or so. So I encourage you to, pull out your human design chart, see where these energies are, what's happening for you. Are they open? Are they defined? What's your relationship to these energies? Choose what you want to focus on. Choose what you want to put a stake in the ground for. Choose how you want to show up as we move into this new year. And, I don't know about resolutions because they seem kind of old and tired, that idea. You could create a vision for yourself. Vision 2023. What is it that you want to be directing your precious life force energy, your precious attention to? Because that's what you're going to receive more of. And I encourage you, because I know you're awesome. I know you have a super big heart. I know that you care about yourself, your family, your community, and our world. And I would love to see you step forward even more in offering that out. And if you don't already have a copy of my ebook series, Transform Your Life with Human Design, it's a 74-page full color ebook that will lead you through the fundamentals of human design and the deep dive journal that really helps you to take what you learn in the Transform book and apply it to your life. This is a great thing to do at the beginning of the year as you're looking at, okay, where am I going to go? What is my intention for the new year? And how do I want to use my human design to help me be able to do that? Just learning some of the specifics about human design is not really going to transform your life. It's when you take it and apply it, and then you start to integrate and live from that place. That's when the magic happens. All right, many blessings, much love. Bye for now.